Hey guys, welcome back to the Cool Classic Kids Show, and some interesting tidbit of news that I've, sort of stumbled upon in regards to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Now, personally, I think everyone knows at this point that I'm super hyped for Final Fantasy 16, but after the release of Final Fantasy 16 this June, I mean, the main Final Fantasy that's coming out after that is going to be Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which is the sequel to the Final Fantasy VII Remake. So, it appears that apparently this sequel is taking inspiration from the first Final Fantasy game that I ever played. So without further ado, let's just jump right into it, guys. So Final Fantasy VII Remake's lead battle designer wants to surpass Final Fantasy XII's gambit system. And honestly, I've had discussions with individuals such as my homie Blake or Red Hood 420. When it comes to Final Fantasy VII Remake, I think it's a genuinely good game. What kind of just makes me sort of meh on it is just the fact that it didn't really choose a side. It kind of tried to mix turn-based. It's a hybrid of turn-based and, action combat. And for me, I'd rather a game just pick a side, which is why I'm super hyped for Final Fantasy 16, because it's just going all in on the action combat to the level of like a Devil May Cry, which is absolutely insane in my personal opinion. But I think that this right here is insane. So the article continues. Final Fantasy VII Remake's lead battle designer has said he wants to eventually surpass the gambit system that was featured in Final Fantasy XII. When Final Fantasy VII Remake released, its combat system was one of the things that almost everyone seemed to love, except me. I was okay with it, but I certainly did not love it by any means. As great as it was, it seemed the developers behind it are keen to make some big improvements to it in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. In an interview with the lead battle designer Satoru Koyama, has the lofty goal of trying to outdo Final Fantasy XII's incredibly detailed gambit system. So let's just go to the actual words from the man himself. He was asked, what sort of challenges would you like to tackle in your next work? And I know that the words are super tiny, guys, so bear with me. I'll try to make them as big as possible for you. Oh, and they said, Satoru said, this time around, we had it so AI teammates could only perform the attack command in order to allow players to switch between characters as they fight. However, next time I'd like to create an AI that can juggle a variety of techniques and magic. My goal is to surpass Final Fantasy XII's gambit system. I know it says Final Fantasy II, but they go on to say, I'd also like to focus more energy into aspects that support player controls, such as classic mode, where characters fight automatically. I think it's a shame when people can't play a game they're interested in just because they aren't skilled with the action-oriented mechanics. So, yeah, this individual, he definitely wants to accomplish a lot here, but just real quick, getting into the gambit system, what makes it so good? What makes it something I genuinely like and I thought was really thoughtful? So, just real quick, a little history on me. Final Fantasy 12 was the first Final Fantasy I played. And I was literally like 11 or 12 years old. And I was too stupid to play that game at the time, admittedly so. I had it on PS2 and I tried it and I really liked it, but I was so dumb. I just couldn't grasp all the concepts of the game. Final Fantasy 12 isn't for the faint of heart, guys. It's one of those games where you genuinely have to kind of know what you're doing and be thoughtful about it. It's more mind over matter. It's definitely not action. It's a huge departure from everything Final Fantasy prior at that time, and they haven't really revisited anything like Final Fantasy 12 because I don't think Final Fantasy 12 did so hot. I actually replayed Final Fantasy 12 on my Nintendo Switch about a couple years ago, and I loved it. It's awesome. Honestly, I would say if you're into like the whole feeling of Star Wars and you don't mind this system that they've implemented where it sort of plays like an MMO, but like with a lot of strategy based upon how you set up your characters and how they fight. But honestly, I'd say give Final Fantasy 12 a try. I think it's a really good game. and it's super underrated. But just to give a basic, like, explanation of how the gambit system works, basically every single character you could very strategically customize how they play. It's almost like you making the AI. Obviously, it's not that in depth by any means, but it's really close to where you could situationally have your teammates do specific things at specific times. Where, obviously, Fran's character here, their priority is the first line being ally status is KO'd. So when an ally is KO'd, the priority over everything else is for her to revive them with a Phoenix down, and everything else after that. And obviously these are lined situationally, which comes first or which is more important to the player for the AI to do. Obviously, the next thing after bringing back someone from death is to make sure that your teammates are either healed up or cured of their ailments. So you're seeing all the HP, and you're picking at when to actually hit them with the cura, and it's like at half health or at 40% health, which is like, geez, it's actually kind of like a pain in the ass to explain. But then, like, after giving someone more health, the next thing in line is to cure all allies of their status ailments like poison, blind, silence, all that stuff. And yeah, so basically you could do this very specifically, outline what you want each character to do, what is priority, how they battle. And you could do this for each character on your team, which is so thoughtful. It's amazing. Honestly, like I said, I really like Final Fantasy VII Remake, but in regards to just how the game plays, generally speaking, I brought this up to Red Hood 420. I wonder if he remembers, but I was like, I like Final Fantasy VII Remake, but I just feel like the combat is missing a few things. It was really annoying with Aerith, charging into battle despite being a healer. I was like, man, I wish they had. I literally told him this. I'm like, I wish that Final Fantasy VII Remake had a gambit system like Final Fantasy 12, so that I can have, give Aerith specific commands on what to do in what situation. The first would be to stay the fuck out of it, bitch. That would be the first thing I'd want to do. But in regards to just this, imagine if you can specifically customize everyone in your team to perform all this stuff, to this level. Now, honestly, while the battle designer is aiming high with a gambit system, this doesn't appeal to everyone. This is why Final Fantasy 12 isn't very popular, because the way you do battle in this game isn't the most, like, trendy thing or just simple to do by any means. This is, in my opinion, gonna be dumbed down. Now, is that necessarily a bad thing? No, I don't think so. I mean, reality is they want to use Final Fantasy VII to appeal to mass audience, not just Final Fantasy fans, but they're definitely trying to get this game out to as many people as possible. Square Enix definitely is trying to cater to that sort of thing. I think that's why, stuff like Forspoken even existed. But I think that the theoretical gambit system that they're thinking of with Final Fantasy VII Remake will be severely dumbed down from the Final Fantasy 12 gambit system. I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I think there's a few things that can make the combat, specifically in regards to your teammates, your AI teammates, substantially better. Now, adding a basic gambit system where I can specifically give Aerith commands like, please do not charge into battle, you dumb bitch. Or like, have specific AI characters, do the healing, and basically let me do the hacking and slashing if I so choose to. Let me switch to other characters, because I don't want Final Fantasy VII Remake or, Rebirth to feel exactly like Final Fantasy 16. I want them to be different. That's what makes them individually worth buying on their own. So do not copy Final Fantasy 16, in which I can only play as Cloud. Let me play as the other characters, but unless I take, control of them on my own, here's a set of priorities I want each, AI teammate to handle given the situation that we're in. So I think that this is a great idea. This is actually a potential answer to my prayers and what would make me a huge fan of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, even so much more so than Final Fantasy VII Remake, because I like Remake, but I didn't love Remake. I thought it was damn good, but it wasn't great, and that's because of the battle system that was presented that just doesn't really quite do it for me. Now, can a hybrid work? Yes. With this gambit system, I wholeheartedly believe that a hybrid battle system could definitely work. I actually wonder how like a lot of my good buddies would feel about this. I wonder what Red Hood thinks about this, because you know we've had deep discussion about this. I definitely am going to talk to my buddy Blake about this as well. Overall, guys, what do you think about this potential system that's going to be introduced to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth if you know they manage to carry out what they're thinking of, you know, in terms of this? I think that this will make Final Fantasy VII Rebirth so much better than the first remake, like leaps and bounds better. Oh my god. I think it might actually break the game, to be honest. It might make the game too easy. That's another issue. I don't know. I just have a lot of different thoughts, a lot of different possibilities that are presented here. But overall, I like the way of thinking presented by these devs, and I'm now pretty excited for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I really wasn't personally. I was like, nah, I'm just gonna be all in on Final Fantasy 16. I'll probably get Rebirth because I liked, you know, 7 Remake, but I wasn't like, I need this right now. If I see some serious, you know, battle gameplay improvements here, I'm probably gonna have to get Rebirth day one, you know, straight up, honestly. Yeah, guys, let me know what you think about this news in the comment section down below. If you can, like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, follow me over on Twitch, Twitter, or Kick if you want to continue the conversation. Consider becoming a channel member if you would like to join my growing Discord community. And guys, with all that being said, I'm out. Peace.